Assalamu alaikum, hello and namaste. Welcome to another calming episode number 126 of the Limelight. I'm your host Fareen here, and I'm a voice coach, podcast coach, and also I'm writing a book on relationship. Okay, so today on the hot seat we have a very charismatic personality. She is a change coach and also a meditation teacher. So, listeners, please welcome our guest, Amy Pope. Hello, Amy. How are you doing today?
I am very well, Faheen. How are you?
I am good, and it's a pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Yes, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
You're welcome. So, Amy, before we talk about your profession, like as a change coach and meditation teacher, I would like you to tell our listeners about yourself.
Yeah, sure, of course. My name obviously is Amy. I moved to Dubai in 2015 to be with my husband. I flew over at the time with a potential job offer in the offering, which was exciting, and also my two cats that I brought from England with me at the time. They were interesting. They're an interesting breed. They're quite big cats, and it was quite funny because the plane over, I was so nervous and worried about them, knowing they were in the hold on the 7-hour flight. And then we arrived here in the evening. I can remember it so well. And I was off trying to locate them. We had to go to quite a few different offices, sign a few documents, that kind of thing. And then we ended up in this giant warehouse. And I was like looking around in this massive warehouse, saying to everyone, "Where are my cats?" And I just saw this small carrier, and my two cats were there. And I could just hear them meowing, and I went running over, and it was quite funny. And the people that worked there were all kind of staring and were looking at them, and they said, what is this? I think they thought they were some kind of exotic animal because they were so big. But no, they're just my little house cats. So I brought them with me, which was a really big deal, and I'm really glad they were safe, so that was lovely. So back to kind of what I was doing. So I like I said, I had a potential job offer, so I was really happy to have that when I moved here. I used to actually work in the insurance industry in London, and was offered a job here really quite quickly after a few rounds of interview, and then just as quickly it was put on hold, and it stayed on hold and for quite a few months. And when I couldn't wait any longer, I went for another job interview, and I was offered it on the spot, which was great, only to then be told that they didn't have enough visas to hire me at that time. Yes, so another waiting game began, and it was a really disappointing time for me, quite a tough time, because I really thought I had these jobs and they just didn't materialize. So a few months kind of went by, and I was then given an opportunity to set up the regional office of a recruitment agency, which was actually run by my sister in Australia. I still is. And I did this for 4 years and met some amazing people in the marketing and advertising industry. And although it was a completely different industry to what I'd known before, I threw myself into it and discovered that changing career is possible at any age.
That's very true.
Yes, yeah, it was something I never really thought would be possible. I'd worked in my industry for many years, and then yes, given this opportunity, sometimes life just throws things at us, and we have to have a go and try them out and see what happens. And mistakes can happen. We can fail. But if we learn from them and grow from them, then the next chapter can be even more flourishing. So then I ended up where I am now, really. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I totally agree. Change. And when you don't get certain things at that time, there are much more things coming to you, which are 10 times better for you.
Absolutely. But we have this kind of fear of the unknown, of the uncertainty of what might happen, and we're scared that we don't know enough, and but we can surprise ourselves
Yeah.
as long as we focus and really are determined in what we do.
Yes.
Things, doors will open and things can happen and materialize. I was very in a low place. I had these job offers. It was something that I really thought I'd be doing. And then I was given this opportunity and I was so grateful for that. And I really loved doing that for a number of years until things changed yet again in my life that I had not really much control over, or any control over, which then took me into a whole new chapter.
Right, right. Yeah, about that chapter, I want to ask you about that, because from being in a corporate place and then switching over to something like a, change coach and a meditation teacher, what is a twist and what inspired you to be that?
Yeah, absolutely. It really was a very big change. And what happened was my life did drastically change overnight. It was very sudden. On the 9th of April 2019, when my mum died from a heart attack whilst holidaying in Australia. And it was a really tough time. She'd been putting it was quite mad, really. She'd been putting in hair rollers, preparing herself for Grandparents' Day the next day at my nephew's school. And it just happened really, really quickly. And it was a real shock to our entire family, and a really terrible time because we just had no idea it was coming. And I soon realized that I really needed to develop some healthy coping mechanisms, and very quickly, because it really was a tough time. So I made a really big lifestyle change and removed. I used to have a lot of fun partying, this time, out a lot with friends, socializing, going to brunches. We live in Dubai, there's lots of brunches here. So I decided to remove alcohol completely from my life and started focusing 100% on my own well-being, which was something I'd never really done before in my life. Like I said, I was a bit of a party girl, had a lot of fun, didn't really focus a lot on myself. And I started to develop my yoga practice. I discovered at that time as well meditation in a way that I'd never experienced it before. I remember going to this meditation on a Friday evening. So on a Friday evening, when I would usually go, out with friends, I managed to get a few girlfriends together, and I said, can we go on a meditation evening? And they came, and it was just wonderful, a really, really beautiful experience. And it was really eye-opening to know there was other things that we could do in the city that didn't involve having a drink. So that was really lovely, and it just developed from there. And then my eating habits then naturally started to change. It was almost like a kind of domino effect. I removed one thing from my life, and then other things just started to happen quite naturally. And by the end of 2019, I was vegan, and I'd lost almost 20 kilograms in weight as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a huge thing just for happening to me in that time. And with all of this going on, I'd also started to feel really strongly that my life purpose just was not being fulfilled. I've been following others for so long. I hadn't realized that I had my own path to lead. We all do.
Right.
And reflecting on what I loved most about my career, I looked back on everything and thought, what is it I really genuinely love, doing, and what makes me happy? And I realized it was helping others to shine and succeed in their lives and their careers. And that's when I decided that I needed to do something about that, and decided to certify to become a life coach with a focus on guiding and supporting others in their personal journeys. Okay. So I did this, studied this, and that was great. So I was focusing a lot on the coaching at that time. So that was in 2020. I shifted my career over to coaching. And then obviously then we had the pandemic hit, lots of things happened and changed, in the world that, we had, again, no control over. But in that time, so my coaching really took a real turn. I was helping a lot of people in that time as well, specifically, because so many people were going through their own personal changes and upheavals. But also from my own personal development and love for meditation, I decided to just pursue this further, and I saw this course being advertised. This was nearing the end of 2020, and it was a short but very intense meditation teacher training course that was in Dubai. And the reason I wanted to join it was mainly so that I could then maybe share some relaxation techniques with my coaching clients. One of the things that I used to suggest was, maybe meditation is a nice thing to do to relax. So I thought, why not kind of learn a little bit more about it? But my life path had other ideas, and I ended up doing another certification and specializing in yoga nidra meditation, which is an ancient awareness and relaxation practice dating back to 700 to 1000 BCE.
Wow.
So very old indeed. Yes.
That's truly amazing, and what you're doing is so beautiful with meditation, added onto life coaching, and as a change coach, I'm very sure you're changing a lot of lives.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting one because I really love to focus on awareness, because that is when we know then where our changes might need to be made. I'm not saying that everyone needs to change themselves completely, but there are points of us that maybe we might want to improve upon, or just to give ourselves a little bit of a different perspective. It's more about connecting to ourselves, understanding ourselves, getting to know ourselves a bit better, and then knowing whether there's something that maybe we can change in our lives, a habit, for example, that will, projects ourselves a bit differently in our lives and better ourselves, that kind of thing. It can be scary, people think change is scary, and that's why I'm here to kind of help along that way and offer guidance and support, because it's also personal changes. But as I mentioned, the pandemic, that was a change that we didn't see coming. It was a complete shock to the entire world, and so many things happened from that. Not being able to see families, people losing their jobs overnight. Lots of really huge things happened to people, and it was really amazing to be part of that and to be able to help people in that time as well. At the time I offered a lot of free services. This was like at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was really fulfilling to be able to help people. I spoke to people in the UK that were working with the NHS and really struggling to maintain a balance in their lives, to try to deal with what was happening day to day, and also not to feel too stressed, get stressed about it. It was it was a challenging time for everyone, I feel. And so having these tools and techniques that we can use as well to release our stress, to release our tension, is quite wonderful, because it does help. It really does.
It does help, and especially when you said about being aware of how we feel, that's very important.
Absolutely, because we can go along life quite blindly, just kind of waking up, doing our thing, and our own habits that we have formed, our patterns that we have formed in the day, leading up to where we are now, our past patterns, and they have an impact on our current day. And sometimes we don't realize that there are things that we can change, and then the next day could be a very different day altogether. And awareness is the key. Absolutely, awareness and connection to ourselves, I really believe, is the key to transformation.
Yes, indeed it is. Okay, now I would like you to tell what are the few benefits of yoga nidra.
Absolutely. So yoga nidra is such a wonderful relaxation and awareness practice, as I mentioned. There are so many benefits to this, but I've got a few to tell you about, which is firstly that it can improve your memory. So during a yoga nidra session, the brain becomes more open and flexible. You will be able to access your subconscious mind because you've entered into a state of relaxed awareness. And by entering your subconscious mind, you can access your memories, which is quite amazing. And then we also can increase our focus and motivation. So by calming our thoughts, we open up our mind to greater things, including deeper concentration and creativity. It is also a natural stress reliever. So yoga nidra is known for relaxing us more than any other relaxation technique out there completely in the world. And a dopamine boost of up to 65% can be felt during a practice. So it's a pretty big boost of dopamine that we can feel, and afterwards we can feel so relieved and happy and peaceful almost.
That is really intense, like, 60%.
Yes, yeah, it's quite high. Yes,
Yeah.
of this boost. So it's a natural reliever of stress. So wonderful thing about it that is so brilliant is that as the actual practitioner, you only need to lay down and get comfortable. It's almost as if you're going to bed. It's a laying down experience. You have your hands open. If you've ever done yoga, it's like the Shavasana. You lay down at the end of yoga class and you experience that lovely calming feeling. And you just need to listen to the words that I'm speaking. It's a guided meditation. And that's it. That's all you need to do, and allow everything to seep into you and access your subconscious. So it's so simple yet very powerful.
Yes, all these benefits like improved memory, accessing subconscious, which I think everybody wants to know more of these things. And creative side, it's going to really help us out with all these benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And also it helps us to improve our sleep.
Yeah.
So yoga nidra literally means in Sanskrit the union of sleep. As I mentioned, it's deeply relaxing, and it does slow the wavelengths of our mind. It takes us into the state of being awake and asleep. And a 30 to 40-minute practice can actually feel like you've slept for 2 to 4 hours.
Oh.
So you can wake up feeling very refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to get on with that day ahead.
Yeah, good sleep is most important.
Absolutely, yes. But sometimes I do have clients that do fall asleep because you are so relaxed, and you're taken into this lovely deep space between being awake and asleep. And I always say, if you do fall asleep, that's fine. It can be your body responding to the need to rest. Or another way of looking at it is whereas our subconscious may be needing to receive the messages without any distraction from the conscious mind. So it's saying, I'm going to close you down whilst these messages come into you. And it's, like I said, it's very powerful. Yeah, it's really wonderful. And it also increases our quality of life and well-being. So a regular yoga nidra practice has the potential to really help you develop, change, and adjust your routines and lifestyle for the better. So it really complements my coaching practice as well by using yoga nidra meditations, and by offering this as an extra service, as an extra thing that I do with my clients, because it activates that awareness, and then maybe the change can then come from that as well.
Okay, now you also have this workshop with name Let's Shake and Flow. So can you tell more about it?
Well, this is a very different to yoga nidra. It's lots of fun. There's a lot of movement involved in it, and it's again a natural stress reliever. So shaking is our body's natural response to releasing stress, tension, and even trauma as well. It's a simple yet powerful technique, but the aim is to release energy that gets stuck inside of our body, which can build up over time. And when we have energy stuck inside of us, it can manifest itself in physical ways or in other ways. Yeah. Then, so the idea of let's shake and flow is we kind of go on a bit of a journey. We do a little bit of grounding, we do some shaking to some fun music, and then we get a little bit connected more to our energy. So it's very much an energy work, an energy healing, and an energy release practice as well. And we then shake everything out, have a lot of fun, and really connect to ourselves. And it's something that, and then we just go into this beautiful stillness at the end. And on an hour's session, so I do 30-minute sessions, which are kind of short bursts, and it's really great for people that haven't got much time. I do that a lot online. I offer them, and I do one-to-ones or group sessions, and also group private sessions as well. And so that's really fun. It's like 30 minutes packed all into a short time. But I also do an extra kind of longer sessions where I incorporate yoga nidra at the end. So we've shaken everything up, we've released our energy, everything's kind of out there, brilliant. We've connected to ourselves, but we've also really allowed our body to be our guide. There's no routine or choreography. It's really a personal practice. And when we then go into the yoga nidra, I have everything kind of awoken our kind of selves, our spirit within, really. We can then lay down and have the yoga nidra kind of do its magic, work its magic on us. So it really is a wonderful practice, which I've kind of developed and kind of created and merged, I suppose, being inspired by so many different practices out there. So you'll have, obviously, shaking is something that we do naturally. We can shake when we experience something traumatic, perhaps. Children shake usually when they are having, we like to, we call them tantrums, but they're literally shaking out all the energy of their body from their body, because that's their way of being able to move it all through how they're feeling and how their emotions are, because they don't know any other way. And when what's happened as adults, we let everything get stuck inside of us, and we're more restrained, I suppose. We don't go around shaking everything off in public. I mean, I even had an experience of shaking once that was uncontrollable when I used to be very fearful of public speaking, very fearful, and it was quite debilitating. And I was asked by my friend to read a poem at her wedding, and it was such a lovely thing to have asked me, and I was so grateful. I was so happy to be part of it, but I was also terrified at standing up in front of everyone, even though half they were mostly my friends. I was terrified, but I did a lot of practice, so I remember practicing a lot. But even when I read the poem, I went back and sat down for the rest of the service, and one of my legs just would not stop shaking. It was completely uncontrollable shaking, and I just couldn't stop it. I just had to let it carry on. And I was sitting there, just holding onto my leg a little bit, trying to maintain it, but it wouldn't stop. It was the energy that I was, had stuck in. It was stuck inside of me. I was so nervous. I was so wanting to make sure I got it right, that the energy had to release in another form, and it was from my leg.
Oh, right. I know. That's why, when you get nervous, it's like our legs get shaky.
They really do. They really do. But by kind of connecting already to ourselves, by knowing this kind of the shaking process, the mechanism, how it works, we can then kind of use the energy and direct it and flow it how we want it to flow. Right. So, it can almost, that kind of thing may not even happen in the future, because we can breathe into it and just let it all happen, or just let it all out and let the shaking happen. But it's an interesting technique. It's a little bit different, I suppose. Not a lot of people know about it and have heard about it.
Right.
And there is something out there called TRE, which is very focused on trauma release. But what my kind of way of doing it is more trying to bring a bit of fun to it, a bit of stress release, but in a nice fun environment, and people can really just let themselves go and just have a good time, really, but whilst really connecting as well.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and have found a fun way to execute what actually we need, and then with the shake we release it, and with the flow of meditation we gain back what we want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, after all this serious talk, I have a fun segment for you, and it is called the rapid fire round. Okay. And I'll be asking you 3 random questions about yourself. You can answer them in 1 word or a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
shake it all off.
Yeah. So my first question is, if you had to meet a famous personality, who would it be?
Oh my goodness. And they can be alive or no longer with us?
Yeah. Anybody.
It will be, for me, Wayne Dyer. He is this incredible teacher, spiritual teacher, who really helped me along my change and my personal growth journey. He is very special. There's a really incredible book that he wrote. He's no longer with us, sadly. And he wrote this book, I Can See Clearly Now, which is this incredible life story of his. And he was able to then see how everything linked to where his life was going. So it's a really wonderful book. And yes, and we watched a video at a wellness retreat called The Shift. His film called The Shift. So I would highly recommend anyone to watch it. It's on YouTube. And that actually definitely changed everything for me. I said, this is it. This video is just, I need to make some changes in my life. His wonderful teachings. So he would be who I'd like to meet, to say thank you.
Wow, that is very beautiful. Okay, my second question is, which is your one favorite song? And also, if you can sing it for us.
I have got a terrible voice.
Okay.
And I have so many favorite songs. I cannot really pinpoint one. One of my favorite things of the Let's Shake and Flow workshops and classes is that I'm able to share so much amazing music with people. And yes, gosh, I don't think I could actually name one. There's too many.
Just one, like, anyone.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to a quick thing. It's just too many. That's one of the toughest questions I've ever been asked.
Oh my God. I thought what's to cook is a very tough question.
I literally can't think of one. That's so funny. Because my life is now full of so much music and it's beautiful. So I have so many. And I would say to people that if you want to find out my favorite music, come to one of my sessions, because I'll share that with you.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let me ask you the third question. If you were supposed to choose one superpower, it's between being invisible or flying, which one would you choose?
Oh, it'd absolutely be flying. I would never choose to be invisible because it's something that I felt very strongly about for a lot of my life, that I didn't feel like I was really visible. So that would definitely not be something for me. But flying, absolutely, being free as a bird and being able to just soar high and be part of the sky and be above everything and just be able to look at everything below and see everything happening will be wonderful. I actually did a skydive near the end of last year, and it was just quite spectacular. It was scary, and jumping, the actual jump from the plane was terrifying. There's no doubt about it. There's no, I can't escape that.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
the free fall, that you're falling through the air. There's no, you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And then the photographer is telling you to smile, and I'm thinking, I can't smile, I'm terrified. But the moment the parachute went up was just beautiful. We then went into this slow, calm, just looking at everything around us, and it was just serene and so peaceful. It felt like a kind of meditation in the sky.
Wow.
So that would be my answer, flying.
That's really nice. Because flying, indeed, you feel the freedom, the wings, and anytime like you just want to get out of the situation, I just want to fly from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also another wonderful thing to share with you is that our arms are kind of our extension of our hearts. So you can almost feel them. I'm moving them up and down as I speak. When we move our arms up and down, you can actually feel even more connected to our heart as well, and feel like you're flying. It's quite lovely.
Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was the end of the rapid fire round. Your answers were simply amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was fun.
Okay, now we have headed to the last segment of our podcast, where I would like to have your advice for our listeners.
Okay, yes. So what I would suggest for listeners is that becoming the change doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. It is all about unlocking your inner power by connecting deep within yourself and getting to know yourself and developing an understanding of who you are and who you want to be in this world. You can start small and work up to bigger changes. For example, going to bed an hour earlier, or maybe stop looking at your phone right before bed, or introducing a wellness practice. Or you can go big like I did and remove something very large from your life, and then maybe other changes don't seem quite so huge.
Yes, that was beautiful advice. Change, yes. And when you have to do the change, small steps, or as you said, go big. That way. So, Amy, I thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule and doing this podcast with me. That means a lot.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. Absolutely. So I'll just let you know where you can find me. On www.becomethechange.co is my website, and on Instagram I'm at becomethechange.co as well.
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, I will be sharing the details in our podcast link down below, and the listeners can check it out. And listeners, if you have liked this episode, please click on the like button on the Limelyte page, and also do check Amy's website and her Instagram. She's really amazing. And thank you for listening. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.